I'm Catherine, the creator of Shia and the Jetsons Community Preservation of the Promised Land. So I'm here to cross people over to the Promised Land. We all should have a choice to whether we want to live in heaven or hell. So I'm here to create basically like a heaven on earth. Yeah. So, but I wanted to give a little bit of my background to just show you, tell you, who I am and everything. Because a lot of people don't like, well, how are you able to, you know, come up with all the business and the uh, the patents and the business and the corporations to create a patent to where Negro, African American, I don't like to say African American because we're not Africans, but we are Negro, gingerbread colored people. Okay, right? Well, we're indigenous and we are indigenous, and I have a patent company to where each Negro person will be able to receive their free RV motorhome coach, 2019-2022 RV motorhome coach. Now, I have been writing to presidents, senators, and mayors and governors since 2007 because um, I was, homeless with my children, with my four children, three girls and one little boy, but now he's huge now. But anyway, so we've been homeless, and I noticed that we weren't never supposed to be homeless because I seen a lot of uh, Negro females, families that were homeless, and I'm thinking like, wow, this is really really bad. Like we're not supposed to be homeless. Come to find out, the Negro race is actually indigenous to our land, and that every apartment building and housing actually owes us rent. We're not supposed to pay them, they're supposed to pay us to accommodate us for the land and the resources that they're using to build these buildings that we live in. They're supposed to have their own race of people to pay for the housing and the lodging, food, water resources, bills, electricity, internet, toys, books, everything that's of service is supposed to be free for the indigenous people because you're on our resources. You can't use our resources against us. You have to accommodate us because you should be glad that we let you in. So I had applied for my indigenous status and was denied twice by the Department of the Interior. Okay, so Department of the Interior denied me, and here is, that letter. I don't know. Well, it doesn't really matter about my address. But anyway, I'm just letting you know that I was denied by the Department of the Interior twice. Uh, so I don't know if to cover my address up, but anyway, okay. So I have documents on that, and then where my great grandparents was fighting a case against the American Indian Removal Act that removed a lot of us from our homes. A lot of us also, like the Seminoles, or I think it was another tribe, they had to actually go and leave their homes to go across to fight overseas so that they won't come here. And when they came back, or did they come back? When they came back, of course, their homes were taken. So that's another form of genocide to where we had to fight against what was coming. There was a flood that was coming. Watch the movie The Harder They Fall, and you'll see the scene where the guy who knocked out the teeth, the gold teeth, well, the one that got his teeth knocked out said, "Don't you see it's a flood coming? There's a flood coming. And are you going to stand here and fight?" But see, a lot of them ran. He ran. And the one that beat him up was saying, "See, this is the death of us because you running from this flood that's coming." It was the Caucasian race who were Paul Revere bloodline who came here on shackles and chains, and they were supposed to be executed by the black and white British Moors. So when Queen Elizabeth, whatever Queen Lizard, bitch, whatever the hell that woman is, she ordered her worst, and then not only that, it wasn't her, but because everybody that was in Britain was all black first. So Great Britain was black. That's the Moors. They're the ones that was dumping their worst over here in America, which caused us to be enslaved, the indigenous people to be enslaved. So here is a clip here of of how of how lands and countries are being taken over by the United States government that came over here under the bloodline of Paul Revere. And I have letters and letters from senators and governors. letters from senators and governors, like from Obama. Is this from Obama? Yeah, there's a lot of them from different from Obama. These are all different senator letters from, yeah, from the senator. So it's just different kind. Here's another one she emailed me here. Another one here uh, from Bill Clinton. Here's one from Bill Clinton. See, I have different. Here's one from. This is from Obama. No, this is from Donald Trump. And I have just different ones. Let's see, from senators letting me know that they apologize. They're really sorry for what's happened to me, and that they can only give me housing. But I was saying, no, let's create the promised land so that everyone can have housing. Why should it be where you have to pay for housing if we're indigenous? You're supposed to apply that to your own race of people, not on us. You came here and brought your government here, and you went to war with our great grandparents, and you removed us from our lands. Some of us had to be removed, or some of us moved tribal to fight against you coming over here, and then lost their homes. And then when we apply to get our status, we're denied. And all of this information is from the Darus. Here are different, from the Darus. These are when people, when your great grandparents go to court and the commissioner that removed you lets you know, yes, we did remove you, and here is your 640 acres. Wherever we're at, the indigenous black man and woman has 640 acres to them. So this is why the resources have to be paid, or reparations, whatever you want to call it. Reparations cannot be paid by the ones that knocked us off our land. It has to be paid in the services that they already created, such as the RV motorhome coaches, top of the line. We have to have, each of us have to have them, because that's a transportation and home that we really do need. And for us to travel like we used to, because we used to travel by horse and buggy. And how did that change? We changed it to, RV motorhome coaching, and we did that. So because we would think of things like that, and we would evolve like that. But when you have some other people coming into your country, stifling you from that and stopping you from that, then that's war against your people, and that has to stop. So for 400, well, actually, you guys came over here in the late 1800s and removed us in 1830, and then you put your NBC television station networks on top of our land. And this video will show you how Cuba was trying to defend themselves from you guys coming over here. And Russia was agreeing because they were faced with the same thing. Hitler was faced with these certain race of people that only feed off of another race of people, whether you're black or white, it doesn't matter. They'll kill you. So it's a European race that kills their own race. So there are good white people who know that they're being murdered by their own people, especially now with the boosters, the boom booms. Their people are killing their people by that now. And the white people are not doing anything about it. They're just complaining, but they're dying. And it's like, you need to get your people. These are your people. I'm talking about, the Democrats have to get a hold of themselves, because the Republicans seem to be, or like Trump, let's just say Trump. Trump is trying to help the people, and people want to kill him. So there's a certain race of white people that are killing us, and they're in the White House. And they took over all the NBC, all the television station networks. We had our own television station network. Yes, before the white people came, we had our own schools, universities, and grocery stores. We had everything. We had our own television station. We had our own television station network. We had our own phone companies. We had our own electricity. We had our own gas company. We had all of these things, and they literally bombed our lands. Well, I'll show you here where they bombed Philadelphia in the 1800s. Chicago, Philadelphia, Michigan. They just bombed New York, California. They bombed, and then they put their things here. That's why I'm making the video, so that NBC and everyone can understand what you've done to us, and that you will never live in peace until you understand that you have to either scooch over and let me announce the rules and regulation of the promised land, so that the indigenous people can get to where we're supposed to get to, and that's evolve. We're supposed to evolve from fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh dimension on beyond. We're not supposed to stay stifled in third dimension in your hellish world. So here's how you guys came here. You know how you start wars and
In 1959, the island nation of Cuba saw the end of the 6-year conflict known as the Cuban Revolution. Following the victory of Fidel Castro and the overthrow of the US-backed Fulgencio Batista, relations between the US and Cuba declined quickly, very quickly. Not only was this new government proclaiming communist values, something the US had very clearly aligned itself against, it was also nationalizing US interests in the country and becoming allies with the Soviet Union. The prospect of a Soviet ally right on the doorstep of the US was not something the American government was too keen on. So, almost immediately, there were plans forming to either cause or force the overthrow of Castro's government. Of course, there is the well-known Bay of Pigs invasion, where the US enlisted Cuban exiles to essentially storm the beaches of Cuba in order to cause an overthrow of the government. The plan, originally funded and created in Eisenhower's administration and put into place during Kennedy's, was an absolute abject failure. Not only did it not cause the overthrow of the Cuban government.
okay, now Dwight Eisenhower was visited by the great aliens that made a deal with him or something. So what that means is that it was the great aliens that influenced him uh, to go against Kennedy. So it was the great aliens that influenced Dwight D. Eisenhower to do that. And he would like Dwight D. Eisenhower was probably evil anyway. So they all went in against Martin Luther King and killing Black Panthers and all that. That was the great aliens that did that.
It actually strengthened it, making Castro even more of a hero in the eyes of the Cuban people. Less than a year after the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, though, there was another series of attacks known as Operation Mongoose, which was authorized by President Kennedy on November 30th of 1961. The idea was that the CIA carried out acts of sabotage and terrorism against Cuba, including many attempts to assassinate Fidel Castro himself. There's a lot in Operation Mongoose, but one of the relevant points for this video is that it actually had its own plans for false flag attacks. Now, real quick, what is a false flag attack? A false flag attack, or false flag operation, is basically when a country or organization attacks itself or someone else and blames the attack on an entirely different party. The idea comes from pirates and privateers that would fly friendly flags in order to draw merchant ships closer to them, only for the attacking ship to change its flag to its true one right before attacking. Anyways, so
Okay, so pirates, the first pirates were black pirates. You know, they were black pirates. And the white pirates, like the Vikings, used to, just like he just said, he would lure the black pirates to come in to kill them. And that's how the black pirates turned white. Because whenever you have white people anywhere, then that indigenous people, whoever they are, is going to be invaded or murdered by these white people. So you know what I'm saying? Because they're not contained. They look like humans on the outside, but the insides they're monsters because that's what they are because of their actions. So you have to contain it, or you'll just let it loose and it'll kill us all.
Operation Mongoose had a few plans, including
Damn.
making it seem that Guantanamo Bay, a US military base on Cuba, was under attack, blaming the Cubans if somehow the spacecraft carrying John Glenn crashed, and even attacking Trinidad, Tobago, and Jamaica themselves, but blaming Cuba in order to draw in the UK, seeing as both of those countries were a part of the Commonwealth. None of these happened, of course, but there was an even more fleshed out plan to cause a war between Cuba and America, Operation Northwoods. Operation Northwoods was proposed after many failures to try and cause the Cuban government to be overthrown from the inside. The entire memorandum is only 15 pages long, so if you want to look it up and read it, it won't take very long. In this document, there were 9 different plans to justify a war with Cuba.
Want to know how to love yourself like a legend? Listen to my Radiohead Space podcast series. I'll be talking about how to take care of you.
Number 1. Carry out U.S. military provocations near Cuba under the guise that they're just military training. Ideally for the U.S., this would cause Cuba to respond aggressively, to which the U.S. could say that the Cubans attacked an otherwise non-hostile training mission and justify a war with that. Number 2. Staging Cuban defectors working with the U.S. outside of Guantanamo Bay and having them attack Guantanamo Bay. After the fake assailants were captured, more Cuban defectors would start riots outside the base, eventually leading to another fake attack on the base, mortars being fired into the base, fires being started, and even included a plan for fake funerals and fake victims of the fake attack. Number 3. Basically, remember the main part 2. The document even puts the idea forward like that. The US would essentially just have a ship somewhere around Cuba, have it blow up, and blame Cuba.
Okay, so they would start wars and they would blame Cuba like they're doing Russia right now. So I made 2 videos about how they said that Russia bombed Ukraine, which is probably of course the deep state bombing themselves to go into Russia. And I'm hoping that they go ahead and go do that. I hope they do what they're gonna do, because I want them to bother Putin. I really do. I want them to bother Putin so bad that Putin's just Putin got to do what he got to do, and I hope they bother him because he needs to come over here and come get his people. Now, come get the people that's murdering everybody. Because the people who are here, all of the Caucasians, your bloodline is from Helsinki, Russia, in the Caucasus Mountains. And I already did a video on that already where they showed you clearly that your bloodline is from Helsinki, Russia. That's why Trump went to Helsinki, Russia to meet with Putin to show you where your bloodline comes from and that you have to return back there because you're causing genocide upon land that's not yours. The land that you're sitting on, you're eating our food, you moved in our homes, you slithered into everything, like literally, you slithered into everything. And so, everything that you touch, it harms us. Like for instance, we're going to get on, the African American, the Negro race is going to get back on top. When we do, we're not going to enslave you. In fact, we don't want you nowhere near our food. We don't want you cooking. We don't want you near the post office because you'll put something in that. We don't want you touching nothing that we have. We just want you to go over, just get away from us. That's it. Just get away from us. Stay, because you're everywhere. You're everywhere we go. We can't use anything because here you are. And and you keep with this rule and this rule of law that you claim to have when you're only going by it by your military and your police officers. If there was no military and the police officers, well, you wouldn't be dead, but you will be in your rightful place, and you would be, you wouldn't be working in government because you don't know what you're doing and you're a monster. You have to do, you have to be where a monster needs to be. Now, I'm not saying you need to go to hell or anything, but if that's where you come from, so anyway, here's another clip from. Let me see. Is that okay? Yeah, we just finished what he was saying.
Number 4. Cause terror campaigns in the Miami or Washington area. Foster fake attempts at the lives of Cuban refugees. Set off carefully placed bombs, and even, and this is the most disturbing part to me, sink real or simulated ships of Cuban refugees fleeing Cuba. Number 5. Have Cuban planes that aren't actually Cuban planes attack neighboring Caribbean countries. 6. Harass U.S. shipping and destroy U.S. drones with U.S. planes made to look like Cuban MiG fighter jets. Number 7. Attempt hijacks under the guise that they are by Cuban government supporters and being directly pushed by the Cuban government.
See, and then you know they fake when they put that mask on their face and they call themselves ISIS. Those are white CIA blue-eyed people behind that ISIS mask and stuff, and then they use, the word ISIS, which that's you're not supposed to talk and say use our words and our names against us, and then okay, so let me go to another where okay, so let's go to the other one where okay, oh here it is. Now this is where they bombed our cities. First, they started in now when we
So really quickly, this is a picture of the capital of North Korea, Pyongyang. At the bottom, you have the city in 1953 during the war, the Korean War. After an estimated approximately 75% of the city was destroyed by the United States of America bombing. So the USA bombed the whole city. And on top of the picture on the top is the same city 11 years later in 1964 after.
Okay, now these cities here are black indigenous cities here. When we talk about North Korea, and Ireland, they bombed all of Ireland is all black, and they bombed all of Ireland, and that's what pushed us up in Chicago and brought us down in Chicago. Um, but they bombed. Now this is North Korea. When we talk about North Korea back then in the 1800s, we're talking about black people. We're talking about people that look like Brandy, people that look like I don't even mention his name, but anyway, the black people that look Chinese, they got some Asian in them. Okay, well those people came here. That's why Brandy look like that. And okay, so now these homes, we're talking about universities. We're talking about thriving. We're talking about television station networks. I know you people are like, Kathy, why are you so obsessed with television? Listen, we had communication. We had our own electricity, communication, right? We had television station networks, and this is how we were able to travel from Ireland to America because we're indigenous to Europe, okay, and America. Okay, so indigenous Negro people, gingerbread colored people. I showed you another video about the greatest researcher I ever seen. He shows you in detail with pictures of black people living in Ireland in the 1800s, fighting white people, in which they were pushed out from Ireland into America. So that's where you get all of the Chicago people. Like my mother, she's from Chicago, um, Southside Chicago. Where Larry Hoover at. These people are mixed with Irish. Like my mother, she's black, but she's red. She's red. They used to call her red. She, high yellow, red head. Black woman, long hair. Pretty, and she's Irish and black, but she's black. And our grandfather Depp. When he passed away, the whole town seemed like it died. Everybody came to see that. So anyway, he it seemed like he ran a part of Chicago. So anyway, his Depp, our great grandfather, he's like Irish and black. Okay, and so a lot of black people look like that. Some people say, well, we're Creole. It's like, I don't know. I don't think we were Creole. I don't know. See, that's why we need to get to our history and really, really dig deep. And we have to have our own television station network so we can go over where we actually came from. But what we do know for sure is that we're indigenous to America and Europe. Okay, so that's for sure. And Asia and Australia, because the records show it. I can't say this if he didn't pull up all these records. This man right here is showing you. I'm gonna leave a link. He's showing you where we were bombed at in Philadelphia in 1800s, uh, California, Texas, Chicago. We were bombed. This is in North Korea, and he's going to show you different cities that were bombed like North Korea, and these were black towns because these people were bombed three times, not once. They were bombed this time, and then after that, because what they would do is they'll keep bombing us until there's none of our structures left. Okay.
Reconstruction. So the American army has destroyed the city 8 years after the end of the Second World War, and 11 years afterwards, the communists in North Korea, they reconstructed it in that way. So with this video, I'm not. Please do not start in like making your own like bubble inside your corner in your room. I'm not defending or going against anything. I'm just trying to show you pieces of history that nobody cares about. Yes, there is lots of propaganda in North Korea, and not all of it is, lots of it is lots of lies. But if you are a real human being and you care about the facts and the truth, you would understand that it was not necessary for the American army in 1953 to kill 20% of the civil population, because they killed civilians without. When they bombed the city of Pyongyang, the bombings were not necessary because they did not bomb any military objectives. They bombed civilians. And I could read you a text which was forwarded to the United Nations back in the 1950s when the whole bombing thing happened, and give you details. And that's a official document which you can, if you study history, of course nobody does this because it's very boring and takes up your time.